You're listening to the Harmony of We, a space for remembering what we already are together. I'm Greg Kuiper, counselor, author, and fellow traveler in this ongoing field of being human. This podcast isn't about fixing. It's not about getting relationships right. It's about coming into resonance with yourself, with each other, and with the presence that lives in between. This is where the book Relationship, the Harmony of We continues in breath, in story, and in shared awareness. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Harmony of We. Over the past several weeks, we've watched Ethan and Maya discover something beautiful. Connection isn't usually restored through extraordinary moments. A romantic dinner, a surprise gift, a vacation without the kids. Is that even possible? Connection is nurtured through ordinary moments like a quiet conversation on the porch or a forgotten shoebox filled with memories. The willingness to slow down when life becomes loud. As their relationship has grown, something else has quietly begun to happen. They're bringing a different version of themselves into the world around them. And that's where today's story begins. Because growth inside a relationship is one thing. Carrying that growth into the relationships that shaped us is something else entirely. I wonder if you've ever noticed how you can spend months becoming more patient and aware, really practicing at being more present. You find yourself responding instead of reacting. You feel yourself changing, and then you walk into a family gathering. Within 15 minutes, you're arguing with your brother about something that happened in 1998. Or your mother's tone of voice instantly awakens an old part of you. Or someone makes the same joke they've made for years. And before you know it, you're responding from a version of yourself you thought you'd left behind. It's remarkable how quickly this can happen. Not because we stop growing, because family remembers every version of us. Sometimes before we can remember who we've become. It's a warm Sunday afternoon. Maya's parents have invited everyone over for lunch. Lena is there. Maya's older brother, Daniel, has driven in from 2 hours away with his wife and teenage son. The house smells like rosemary chicken and fresh bread. Old family photographs line the hallway. Laughter drifts from the kitchen. It's comfortable, familiar. The kind of gathering that's happened dozens of times before. Ethan notices something almost immediately. Maya changes. Not dramatically, just subtly. She's warmer, quicker to help, a little quieter than she is at home. Her mother asks where serving bowls are, even though Maya hasn't lived there in years. Without thinking, Maya gets up and finds them. Lena catches Ethan's eye and smiles knowingly. Some things never change. He smiles back. I noticed. After lunch, everyone gathers around the dining room table with coffee and dessert. Daniel begins telling stories from childhood. They always blamed me. Maya laughs, because it usually was you. It was not. It absolutely was. The room fills with laughter. Then Daniel says something, still smiling. You are always so sensitive. The sentence is harmless. At least that's how it's intended. But Ethan notices Maya's smile change, just slightly. She laughs along, but something inside her grows quieter. The conversation moves on. Almost no one notices. So let's stay here for just a moment. How fascinating that a single sentence can awaken an old identity. Not because anyone intended harm, but because memory has emotional weight. Many of us spend years growing beyond the labels we were given. You know, the responsible one, the difficult one, the sensitive one, the quiet one, the achiever, the disappointment. Families often carry these identities without realizing it, and sometimes without intending to. They continue handing them back to us. The question becomes, can we receive the love without reclaiming the label? Later that afternoon, Ethan finds Maya standing alone beneath an old maple tree in the backyard. She isn't upset, she's just thoughtful. He walks beside her. How are you doing? She smiles. I'm okay. He waits. Then she laughs softly. I almost became 12 years old again. He smiles. I wondered. She looks surprised. You noticed? I noticed. She shakes her head. It's strange. I know Daniel wasn't trying to hurt me. I know. But the minute he said I was the sensitive one, she pauses. I felt like I disappeared into an old version of myself. Ethan nods. What does that version need to know? She looks at him. No one has ever asked her that. She thinks for a long moment. That being sensitive wasn't the problem. A tear quietly forms. It was one of the gifts. He reaches for her hand. I think it still is, honey. What a beautiful question. What does that version of you need to know? Not, how do we fix this? Or, why are you still affected by that? Simply, what does that younger part of you need to hear? Sometimes healing doesn't happen by leaving the past behind. Sometimes it happens when the person we've become gently returns and sits beside the person we once were. Oh. As everyone prepares to leave, Lena joins Maya on the front porch. I heard Daniel. Maya sighs. I know he didn't mean anything. Lena nods. He didn't. But intent and impact aren't always the same. Maya smiles. You're getting wise. Lena laughs. I've had good teachers. Then she says quietly, You know, I used to hate being called emotional. Maya looks over. What changed? I realized emotional wasn't the opposite of strong. She smiles. It was part of it. The sisters hug. Not because something dramatic has happened, because something quiet has. Families are extraordinary. They know our history, our childhood, our mistakes, our triumphs. They hold memories no one else possesses. Because of that, they also hold identities. Sometimes those identities still fit. Sometimes we've outgrown them. The invitation isn't to blame our families. Most labels were never meant to wound. They were simply incomplete. Growth often means becoming larger than the stories that once described us, and offering our families enough grace to slowly discover who we are now. Psychologist Dan Siegel writes about integration, the process of honoring all parts of ourselves rather than rejecting them. Perhaps that's true here. We don't need to stop being the sensitive one. We simply learn that sensitivity and strength were never opposites. Perhaps someone in your family still sees you through an old lens. Maybe they always will. But that doesn't mean you have to live inside that lens. Every relationship gives us an opportunity to become more fully ourselves, even the oldest ones, especially the oldest ones. This week, notice whether someone unknowingly hands you an old identity. Before accepting it, pause. Take one gentle breath. Then quietly remember, you are allowed to keep growing, even in places that still remember who you used to be. The healing begins in the space between us. May you walk in the harmony of we. See you next time.